I am so grateful that you are taking elementary Greek. I want to express that to you again because as we begin to move into chapters 5 and 6 and then chapter 7 and we cover the basics of the Greek noun, there's going to be a lot to learn and a lot of work. And you need to watch these slides perhaps 2 or 3 times this week to grasp the concepts, and you need to set aside time for memory. And so I want to encourage you that though this is going to be a difficult course, it will be worth it. And we begin thinking about languages in general and setting us up to think about Greek specifically. Greek is a language, as Mounce notes, that has inflections or changes. Words are altered when performing different functions in a sentence or when meaning actually changes. And you can see this especially with a third person singular noun. She or her. It's the same person is identified, but actually a different word signifies that change. Where in Greek, it can be the same word, but the endings will change. And so you have the same root, but it's just the ending that does the change and signifies who is being spoken about. The changes or inflections of English words occur in 3 grammatical phenomena. In case, subject, or the subjective case he, possessive his, objective him, just as an example here. Number, singular or plural, and gender, masculine, feminine, neuter. Take for instance the sentence, he gave it to her. There are 3 third-person singular nouns here. He, it, and her. But they're entirely different words, representing entirely different objects. And Greek will allow for one word with 3 different endings to signify whether it would the object in view would be a man or a masculine idea, a neuter idea, or a woman or a feminine idea. Inflection patterns are grouped as declensions. Now you've perhaps seen 2 new words on this slide, one inflection, one declensions. Don't be intimidated by them. Inflections are just changes. Declensions are just groups of changes. So all words that form the plural by adding s to the end of a word are a declension. They're a group. All words that form plural by adding es, the same thing, a declension. So changes. English changes, but not as much as Greek. And Greek will allow, again, changes by using the same root or stem and then adding a different ending rather than changing the whole word. Just review again parts of speech, nouns, person, places, things, ideas, adjectives modify nouns, prepositions, words that connect or show often a spatial relationship. Subject and predicate. Subject does the action, predicate is the verb and the rest of the sentence, object, direct object, indirect object, etc. The article, definite article, the identifies or specifies one noun as opposed to the whole class. Indefinite article, a or an, leaves the noun vague, often designating the entire class. So just review of parts of speech. We'll discuss these specifically as they relate to Greek. And Greek subjects and verbs. Person and number, first, second, third person, number, singular or plural, are identified by the ending of a verb. First person, I or we. Second person, you, y'all. Third person, he, she, it, or them are signified by verbal ending. If you do not recall person and number just from English grammar, you need to get this down today. First person, singular, I, we is plural. Second person, you singular, you all, plural. And third person, he, she, it, or them, he, she, it, singular, them, plural. And the ending of Greek nouns and verbs identify that for us. The subject of the verb is identified as part of the verb and may or may not be written in its own sentence. On its own in the sentence, this is something that stands out. The subject can be embedded in the verb. And if the author or speaker includes the subject, although it's embedded in the verb already, sometimes that's done for emphasis. But in Greek, verbs house the subject within them simply by their ending. And gender, he, she, it, in third person, singular or plural. We don't know if it's masculine, feminine, or neuter, and this is identified by the context of the verb or the noun, we would say as well. Well, let's be specific now with Greek nouns. The stem actually carries the meaning of the word, marked in the vocabulary section by an asterisk. Now, the vocabulary section of mounts, we should clarify. And we'll talk about lexicons here in a bit, but that's how we look up words that we don't know. But in the back of each chapter of nouns, there are vocab words. You've probably seen those already. And the word with the asterisk in parentheses, that is the stem. In a lexicon or dictionary, words are listed by their nominative singular case. Lexicon is just a dictionary. Don't be intimidated by the term lexicon. It's just the dictionary. Or in the back of mounts, there's a dictionary or lexicon, and words, nouns, are listed by their nominative singular case. So that will be the case you look them up under, and then you will notice the stem there as well. The function or case of a noun is signified by its case ending. So you have this word, and you don't know how it functions in the sentence. That is determined by its case. Nominative case are normally the subjects of a sentence. Direct objects take the accusative case. And case endings also signify number, singular or plural. Have you caught on already that we need to pay attention to the ends of words? And what you're going to find today is a number of letters that occur at the end of a word, and those letters give you an opportunity to play detective so that you can identify the function of the word in the sentence. And specifically this week, thinking about nominative and accusative. Because the function of a noun is signified by case ending, word order can be flexed or nuanced for emphasis, but it does not determine the function of a word in the sentence. And you can see an example here. Ta chaima Jesu katharize chemas apapases chamartias. The blood of Jesus cleanses us from all sin. Means the same thing as katharize chemas ta chaima Jesu apapases chamartias. Do you see that the word order is different, but the meaning is exactly the same? Why? Word order doesn't determine meaning in Greek. That is entirely based upon the case of the nouns. That determines their function in a sentence. This may take some getting used to, and you'll just have to do that and do it as soon as possible. Word order doesn't matter. Set that aside and begin to look at the ends of words and do some memorization. There are 3 declensions in Greek nouns, or inflection patterns, we could say. First declensions, the stem ends in alpha or eta. The second, omicron. And third declension, those nouns have a stem that ends in a consonant, and we'll deal with those later. This chapter and set of chapters that we're working with today and this week, we're concerned just with the first and second declensions. First, gender is normally feminine, and second, masculine and neuter, or neuter. So first and second declension, stems end in vowels, specifically alpha, eta for the first declension, second declension, omicron, consonants third. Now, here is a slide to begin to memorize. Here are the case endings. If we see these letters at the end of a word, we're going to be thinking about a noun and a specific function that that noun has in the sentence. And we'll know that by its being a nominative or accusative, and then we can know singular or plural, and we can identify its gender as well. Masculine, feminine, neuter. So masculine uses second declension or second grouping, neuter as well, and feminine first declension or grouping. And here's the grouping is just these letters at the end of a word. So with the nominative singular is a sigma for masculine, accusative singular a nu, nominative plural an iota, accusative plural upsilon sigma, and so on. As you look at this chart or this paradigm, you'll want to think about this one because each of these endings also has a final stem vowel. On the left of the slash mark is the same as the previous slide, but here after the slash mark we have included the final stem vowel. So this is what it would look like at the end of a word. Not just sigma, but omicron sigma for nominative masculine singular. Accusative masculine singular, not just nu, but omicron nu. Nominative plural, not just iota, but omicron iota with the sounding of oi. Accusative plural, not just upsilon sigma, but omicron upsilon sigma with the sounding of us. And you can see the same with feminine and neuter. Just notice the patterns there. Let's take it a step further. We've looked at endings. We've looked at endings with stem vowel, and now we can look at how these endings take shape in an actual word. Logos, graphe, chora, ergon. Notice the masculine, logos, logon, logoi, logus. Feminine, graphe, graphane, graphai, graphos. Chora, choran, chorai, choros. Neuter, ergon, ergon, erga, erga. You notice already some patterns. Nominative, accusative, singular, neuter are the same, and the same for the plural. That's actually going to be a rule we'll look at momentarily. Just notice the patterns here. Sigma nu, iota, sigma for masculine. Nominative singular feminine. No ending, but the accusative there is a nu. Notice that nu is the same as the other accusatives. And then iota in feminine plural, just like the nominative plural in iota, sounds entirely different because of the preceding stem vowel, but same ending. Accusative plural feminine, sigma, is the ending. So those noun rules, here we go, or we could say noun observations, if you will. These are the way that nouns behave. Number one, these just need to be memorized, but you'll observe them and just know them over time. Stems ending in alpha or eta are in the first declension. Stems ending in omicron, the second. Consonantal stems, the third. We saw a slide on that earlier. 2, every neuter word has the same form in nominative accusative. We saw that just a moment ago. Number 3, almost all neuter words end in alpha in the nominative and accusative plural. So these will be evident as you look back here at this chart. You see each of those rules right here. Let's move on and think about parsing, identification and translation. Parsing is just that. It's identifying a word and translating it. So when we work with nouns, we need to identify 5 ideas of that noun. First, it's case. Right now we're working with nominative and accusative, the subject and direct object cases. We need to know if it is singular or plural. We need to know its gender. And we need to know its lexical form. That is the nominative singular form. And then its inflected meaning, or its meaning as it occurs in that particular form or at that point in the sentence. So for instance, logus. It is accusative, plural, masculine. From logos, that is the nominative singular form or its lexical form. And the meaning of logus is words. If you write accusative plural masculine from logos meaning words for logus, you have just translated a Greek word, you've parsed it, and you're now doing Greek. So let's do some more. Here, workbook translation, just some practice for you. This is from exercise 6, page 13. Autoi, ton theon, opsontai. Opsontai, you'll notice, is the verb, and Mounts gives that to you. They will see, and we have autoi here, nominative plural noun, and ton theon, accusative singular noun. Kai apestelen autus, ke rusein, tein basileon, tu theou. Notice autus, accusative plural, tein basileon, accusative singular, tu theou, genitive singular. Now I haven't given you the gender of each of these. You'll need to think about that and work with them on your own. I just wanted to give you a bit of help in identifying nominative and accusative, and we'll get to genitive in the next chapter, but I wanted to introduce it here, tu theou in number 9. So that's just some help for your translation work and exercise 6 this week. Along with thinking of nouns and case endings, it gives us an opportunity to think about the definite article. If you will. The definite article provides us a link really to think about these endings, because you'll notice that they are similar. And it's the case that definite articles agree with the nouns they modify in case, number, and gender. So these will need to be memorized. You'll begin to see some patterns in just a moment. The definite articles going down each column: masculine, cha, ton, choi, tus, che, tain, chai, tas, ta, ta, ta. And that's how the definite articles are pronounced. And you can now identify them with the words that we noticed earlier. And the endings. Nominative singular, if logos is the noun in view and it's nominative singular, the definite article it takes is cha. Accusative singular, it takes ton. Nominative plural takes hoi, and accusative plural tus. Do you see the patterns already? You can notice ton, logon, hoi, logoi, tus, logus. Notice the feminine. He graphe, or he chora, tain graphein, tain choran, chai graphai, chai chorai, tas graphos, tas oros, and then the neuter, ta ergon and ta erga. Well, these will need to be memorized, and you again will need to watch this slideshow perhaps a couple of times, rewind it a bit, and go back and watch certain parts that you would need help with. We conclude with some vocab. Again, our vocab starter provides you with 3 words and gives you an opportunity to think about them and a pattern for you to continue on with vocab. Vocab need to be memorized with creativity and consistency. So that bridge can help you to be creative and have a hook for learning the word, and then you need to be consistent in going over it. I suggest doing Greek twice a day, 5 days a week. And twice a day, something in the morning, perhaps 15 minutes to half an hour if you can do that, and in the evening as well, perhaps 15 minutes to a full hour. However you can work that out, but every day, twice a day, looking at it, doing some vocab and some grammar, work out the pattern how you would. Perhaps it's reviewing vocab and adding to vocab in the morning, or reading a sentence or 2 of translation, and then the bulk of your work in the evening, but every day. Let's look at the first 3 vocab words. Agape. Agapes, it's a feminine word, so agape and then agapes would be the genitive singular, and he is the definite article. The bridge I use, it sounds like a gap. I see here, agape, a gap. I like to hit a ball in the gap. That's a base hit. Or if you love the store, a gap. I love. Be creative in your bridge, but those bridges have worked for me. Alas, alay, Allah. This is think of alas, someone saying, alas, another assignment, alas, other homework. Just a bridge that works. You may have others, maybe a lasso. I need to get another horse, so you use a lasso, or you could be creative, and the more creative you are, the easier these will be. Using sight, sound, how a word would sound to you, or what it looks like. And alas, alay, Allah, nominative, feminine, and neuter endings there. Same with autos. I don't really have a bridge for this, but it's one of the most common words in Greek, so you just have to learn it. It's the 3rd singular pronoun. He, she, it, or plural, they. And so it will follow that 2-1-2 pattern. Well, watch the slideshow again, and perhaps another time this week. Work on your vocab and get to the workbook exercise.